Welcome to TRANSLOGIC. I'm Bradley Hasemeyer. Nestled in the hills outside Los Angeles stands this, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where some of the greatest minds in the world gather, all for one goal: space exploration. Recently, they put a rover on Mars, so I'd say they're pretty good at what they do. Let's go inside and find out exactly how all that happened. Today, I'm in the mission control at JPL. Yes, I'm here with Devereaux, a very important person in the recent landing on Mars. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I walked in this room, I could just feel the excitement, like the energy of what this room must have been. Celebration and eruption. I mean, I've seen some of the footage and people are just dancing around and crying and just, wow. All right here.
People saw the 7 minutes of terror, crazy. We had practiced it, we had tested it over and over again. Everyone is watching. This is the night that it counts. It doesn't matter the 15 million times that we did it before, right? And we get one shot.
That's it.
We actually sent the command to land like a week before. Not to give away any state secrets, the command is something of the form do_EDL. Like how simple.
Do it.
In a very real way, when we sent that do EDL command the week before, Curiosity was like, I got it. Right. I know what I'm doing.
Here we go.
Tomorrow I'm going to do this. And oh, by the way, Sunday I'm going to do that crazy landing stuff.
So you guys actually checked in on Foursquare, right?
Yes.
I'm checking in on Mars, by the way.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So from starting at the inception, what are the major phases to put a rover on Mars?
Well, the first part, which can go on for years actually, is people come up with ideas for what they want this thing to do. Well, you know, we need to put a big arm that can collect these sort of samples and put on it. Well, that's going to be a big rover because we want to drive a distance to get samples, and now we need this special new landing system. So eventually all those pieces have to come together in our big spacecraft assembly facility here, and we're putting them all together, and then we're testing them as we go. We do all the testing of like, well, this is what launch would look like, this is what EDL would look like, this is what surface would look like.
How in the world do you test for a landing on Mars? I mean, you just like drop this thing out of an airplane and let it hit the desert floor? Like, how do you do that?
For something like this, where it goes through so many configuration changes, and then, of course, ends up in a completely different environment in terms of the gravity, you know, the temperature,
right,
that sort of thing. What you have to do is take that whole sequence of stuff and break it down into pieces that you can actually chew. And so, like, for instance, for temperature, what we do is here at JPL, we have a huge chamber that we can put the whole spacecraft in. So they can actually pump the air out of that and create a vacuum in that chamber. And actually, what they can do too is you can buy Mars atmosphere from companies, and then you can pump chambers with something that looks like Mars air. So you might say, like, well, what about the really interesting stuff, like, you know, the rocket sled lowering the rover down on cables? You know, how do you test that? In some of the really tall chambers that we have, they're like 3-story tall, you know, interior rooms, and there's like a million cameras going, everybody's watching, and then they drop it from the ceiling and just have it chunk. But I mean, ultimately, then you say, okay, well, do I really believe that that's going to work end to end? Like, yeah, sure, I saw that the wheel didn't break,
this piece,
and I saw this thing didn't get heated up.
Yeah.
That's where we have these enormous, complex models that, you know, multiple NASA centers work on, that basically model like every piece of, this is what we think the atmosphere looks like, this is what we think, you know, the spacecraft looks like. And so, in a very real way, when it actually came to landing, you're depending on bits from a computer that told you that this is going to be okay.
So take me through a day in the life of Curiosity.
So there's a communications opportunity with Earth in the morning, in the Mars morning. We send her to-do list for the day. We want you to do this science experiment. Maybe there's a couple of engineering things that we want to do, like we want to scrub some memory or something like that. Now we wait, right? Because our communications window has closed, and basically we've told her about, you know, noon you should do this, and at 2 o'clock you should do this, and by the way, if you run into trouble, stop. So then we have to wait for the afternoon when we get the orbiter passes coming over that give us our high rate data back to the ground to see how she did. And then that starts on Earth the process for the next day. Did we like how things work today? Did we find a really interesting rock, and now we want to look at that rock with a different set of instruments? So that planning happens during Martian night, and then the next morning again we'll send her instructions for the next day, which includes whatever we had learned from the day before. So what she has is she has a very sophisticated suite of geological instruments. So if you kind of start from the top of her head, obviously you see the eye, you know, on top. So she has the mass cameras that allow her to take video of her surroundings and high resolution pictures of her surroundings. And then we also have Chemcam, which is the laser.
Yes, this is so cool.
Yes, and so Chemcam is a combination of a real laser that it can use to zap something interesting. We've zapped a few rocks now, and basically what that does is it aerosolizes whatever the material is there. It creates a gas of whatever the material is there,
wow.
And then it can take a multispectral picture of that and then be able to do some determination. So we don't actually have to get close of it. I can use this to do this kind of remote investigation of what the material is.
Yeah.
And that's actually a good thing even for sort of rocks, because now as we work our way down, obviously one of the big features of her is her big robotic arm. It's to do sampling. We've got two big analytical chemistry instruments on board, SAM and Chemin, that both in their own different ways can take a powdered material from the arm. So the arm can kind of basically reach back and put in a sample for SAM and Chemin.
Put it in its mouth. Analyze it, taste it, see what's going on.
See what's going on. But also on the end of the arm, it actually has MOLLE, basically a magnifying glass imager that can take very, very close-up pictures of something on the surface.
Macro shots.
Right. And then there's also APXS, which is a little contact chemistry experiment. So it can touch something on the surface and do some simple chemical analysis of that, also to tell us, you know, what might be part
just
of the sample.
Just by touching it. Yeah. It doesn't have to pick it up or ingest it.
It doesn't have to pick
it just
it up.
touches
Yeah.
it. Wow. What's the expected lifespan, and what's the future for Curiosity and other Mars missions?
So Curiosity was designed to last for 1 Martian year. We wanted to see the whole life cycle of a year. That's about 2 Earth years. So for us, it'll be longer. The next big step for Mars exploration, obviously, is to bring something back. So, you know, a lot of the technology work and stuff that we're doing is to try to facilitate what kind of materials would you want to bring back, and then how would you actually do that? How would you launch something off the surface of Mars and then bring it all the way home?
Very cool. Well, you guys are doing amazing things here. It's an honor to be in here and an honor to talk to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy talking with you.
Awesome. See you on Mars. All right, so my visitor's badge is up for the day, but let me just put this in perspective real quick. Everything we just talked about, the laser beams, the spectroscopes, the huge cameras, gathering dust, analyzing particles, that's all happening right now, right up there. It's pretty awesome. These guys are living in a whole different universe, and maybe one day we'll be living there too. All right, for TRANSLOGIC, I'm Bradley Hasemeyer. See you next time.